Hey all, how you doing out there? Darren Scorza with another drink and a wink. Well, it's not really a review as much as it's more info than review today. Welcome. We have had like crazy weather shifts in the last couple of days here in Chicago. We had a big old storm that actually didn't turn out to be as bad as it was supposed to be. And then last night we had a storm that we kind of unexpected, to be quite honest. And so that's why I got my scarf on. Obviously, I have the heat on, but for effect, I'm wearing the scarf. Looking great. Normally, you don't wear a scarf with a collar, so of that bulkiness. Not doing my best here, but that's not why I'm here. Had some nice afternoon and early evening busyness, and now finally got back home. Michelle's off for the evening. So, thought I would talk to you a little bit about finish cask, or finish aging, if you will. Finishing with a different cask from the first whiskey that it was, or the first type of cask it was aged in. And also kind of clean up a little what in recent times, I've been talking about some different ways to experience these finish casks and cask finishing. What does this mean? So this means that we are going to age the whiskey, and what was probably you'd be thinking is the first cask, or the most appropriate cask, or sometimes even the legal cask that you need to start with. In the United States, with bourbon and rye, you would be talking about brand new oak barrels. Rye and bourbon have a little bit of differentiation in terms of what you can do with it afterwards. You still call it bourbon or straight rye. But just for clarity's sake, when we're talking about American whiskey, for the most part, we're talking about brand new oak barrels. Now, single malt and other things are a little different, so I just already contradicted myself. But let's just say the first barrel, which will be typically oak barrels, okay? Same thing with Scotch, single malt Scotch specifically. Most of the time it's going to be American ex-bourbon barrels that we're aging in. Sometimes they will just do sherry casks, but that's a different story. So in recent times, with the whiskey coming back, this idea of finishing in a this and that cask has kind of grown in popularity. Sherry was always a typical one for Scotch whiskey, but then as these companies were maybe, bigger companies had holdings that might have a rum cask or something like that, or a rum company that I'm trying to say, or a rum brand under their portfolio. They have some access to rum casks. That's where the finishing begins. Glenmorangie was one of the first companies, okay, based off of their original 10, started doing these kind of interesting finish aging things, and then other companies followed suit. Also, the Scotch Whisky Association kind of loosened up on the rules. Really, for a time, it was ex-bourbon casks or ex-sherry casks. Okay, and that was about it. And then they started loosening up a little bit, and that's why we saw more rum. I think that was kind of the first one that we all saw popping into popularity, and more things with port. That had been around for a while, but it was very rare. And that's how it happened. The other thing that happens with this is these finishings are usually happening on higher-end whiskeys. So the chance to get these flavors and taste them are harder to come by than we might think. With that, I was kind of tasking myself to kind of get an idea of where can I try some finish whiskeys, and not too, not going to break the bank. Let's put it that way. The first kind of places that we looked were on the core ranges of some of our bigger, lower companies in the Scotch world, like Glenlivet, who has a kind of affordable Caribbean cask finish kind of thing. Not my favorite, but it's a good way to experience it. Today, there's many examples. I'm going to give you one example that I've given before, and that is the Glen Moray. Okay, I'm going to be pronouncing this stuff as much like the Scottish folk do. Glen Moray, not Moray, okay? Glen Moray. It's like you're saying the word Murray, but you just kind of put a little bit more into that. Glen Moray. And they make some higher end and older whiskeys, but they make this series under what's called the Elgin Classic, Elgin, not Elgin, Elgin Classic. That they have finished in a certain kind of champagne wine cask, sherry cask, peated cask, and the one we're going to talk about today, port cask. Okay, they all run about the $25 range. Sometimes you can get them on sale, and as I said before, it's a good example of, or a good way to get in without dropping too many dollars to get this finished whiskey experience. On the other side of the coin, we're going to, again, this isn't a battle. Glenmorange's Quinta Ruban is going to win, okay? Quinta Ruban is one of the I think 3 or 4 examples of mid-priced, nowadays becoming kind of premium priced, finished series that they've had for quite a long time. After the original 10, the other ones that could be examined are one called La Santa, which is a sherry cask finish, and I think that is now at a 12-year range. There was also the Sauternes cask Nectar d'Or, and we have all of these, which is a little more expensive, and they've taken the age statement off of that one. The Quinta Ruban, okay, is a port cask finish, and this is, I think, for my money, and that's who's spending it, this is the best bet, because A, this one is bottled at 46%, and it says that it is unchill filtered, okay? Somewhere here it says that. It's supposed to be. This used to be 12 years old, like the, that might have changed now, but I think it's unchill filtered. In any case, that I think it's on the label now. Maybe it's on this box. Let me see. I don't want to say anything out of turn. This is, non-chill filtered, okay? This is my favorite of the Glenmorangie finishing casks, this Glenmorangie 14-year-old Quinta Ruban. It used to be 12 years old. The first time I had it, it was a 12-year-old, and I think actually Corey Biggerstaff bought me this one, if I'm not mistaken. And the word got out that I liked it, because I actually have another one still sealed up in the old crawl space, or Scotch cellar over there. All right. So we're going to pit these two together, and now I got to make sure I know which one is which. Yeah, I can already tell. So I can tell you that I kind of crossed my glasses up, but I can already tell which one is which. But what the goal of today is, again, not to tell you which is better. I'm going to Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban 14 is better than Glen Moray's no age statement bottle at 40%. But we're going to see if we get the same experiences. Okay, so first off, what are the differences these and why are the prices different? Well, one, Glenmorangie is just a bigger name. But more importantly, let's look at the price tag. It's kind of nice. Glenmorangee's Quinta Ruban 14 has not gone up in price as much as some of the other ones. Right now, it is at the $75 price tag, okay? It's a little higher than it used to be, but not by a ton, okay? But it's nice that this is a $25 whiskey, this is a $75. So, is this 3 times as good? We'll kind of rate it. But more importantly, are we getting the same experience in terms of what is single malt Scotch whiskey, so malted barley, aged in a bourbon cask, and then finished in a port cask? Am I getting the same experience in terms of port finish with a $25 versus a $75? So, let's first hold up the glasses and look, okay? I think these are both natural color, and you can see that in both of these would be a little more rosy in color, okay? Then something, then if I just hold up, I don't even know if I put it in a glass. You can hold it up. This is Glenmorangie's original. You can see the color on that. That is just bourbon cask finishing. And I'll hold the Glenmorangie up so it's a fair. And you can see that it takes on a rosy glow from being finished in port casks. Okay, the Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban is, when it was 12 years old, it said it was 10 years in bourbon and 2 years in port. When they raised it up to 14 years, I don't know if they kept that level of bourbon cask to 10 years. We're using the original, and then it was 4 years in the port. I'm not really sure. when they made that switch, I had both bottles at the time. I had a little bit of the 12 left, and I had the 14. I was not able to ascertain a big taste difference. Matter of fact, I noticed more of a taste difference when I bought the updated 12-year-old Glenmorangie original, which I did around Christmas time, compared to the 10. That I noticed a difference. So I didn't notice a big difference when they changed the age. So what are the differences here? Well, 40%, 46%. We talked about aging. Other than that, there's not a lot, okay? We can see that the Glenmorangie that's in my left hand, the one with my ring, is a little darker. That's just making sense, okay? Let's go for it. I'm going to have the Glenmorangie 14 Quinta Ruban first. Like I said, this is kind of, you know what? It used to be in like my top 5 single malt scotches for sure, and it kind of still is. Then I had a nice limited edition Glen Moray that had some port finish, and that kind of changed everything. But anyway, malted barley is there. There's no smoke in either of these. But this, you get some chocolate, dark fruits, raisin, date, cinnamony. Tanginess. If you hold it a little longer, that's where the original bourbon cask comes through. Really good stuff. I'm glad I have another bottle of this. This is really tasty. This is going to remain in my top 5 single malt Scotch whiskeys. Okay, I thought it fell off, but now that I'm having this again, that's good. You get this kind of maybe like raisin skin. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe not. But and we're not talking about Smuckers or raisins out of a box. We're talking about natural raisins. It's really good. I don't even have to kind of rinse and you know what? Just for fairness, let me go grab just a little bit of. Actually, I'm gonna drink a little bit of milk. Going off camera. I just wanted to clear the palate a little bit before I went to the second one. All right, here we go. That's the Quinta Ruban. This is the no. See, as the flask is. So, that was the Glen Moray. On the start of the palate. Now remember, this could be, I think, it could be as young as 3 years old, and then maybe a little bit of finishing. I'm getting some of the same flavors. However, this one probably spent more years. This quite possibly could have spent more years in the port cask than this ended up in any cask. So it's not as rich as it could be, but I'm still getting those notes of raisin, a little bit of chocolate, not as much as the 14. But I'm searching for the bourbon cask, the first cask we aged in. I'm not getting it. My guess is maybe, I don't think this one was aged in first fill bourbon casks only, but there had to be some more of that in here, where this tastes a little duskier. It's not as vibrant, but I'm still getting the sense of, I can definitely tell this isn't just Glen Moray's just Elgin Classic straight up, all, all bourbon cask. It's not sherry, it's not chocolate, it's just not as vibrant. But I definitely can tell the difference between this and something else. This is the port finish that I'm growing to like a whole lot. So that's kind of my wrap on this. Again, no review. I'll tell you what you're looking at. Glenmorangie. Like I said, it's called the Elgin Classic. You're going to see it in some liquor stores. You might just see the Elgin Classic straight up with no aging. That could be a couple dollars cheaper. And then you're going to see port cask, sherry cask, peated cask. I don't know if it's Sauternes or some other French. Maybe it's there's a Chardonnay. We had that one too. Wasn't as good as this port cask. Okay. What else? Plain bottle. Check this out, because you can see I did this one because we're going to be finishing this one up soon. Cork's not great on this one. If there was more in there, I would actually seal it up a little bit better. That's it. In terms of Glenmorangie, it's those pronunciations again. Both of them are Glenmore. Glen Moray, Glenmorangie. Okay, it's not Morangie, by the way. Okay, Morangie, just like an orangey. Okay, and that one's, well, not a great orangey. I missed. Anyway, that's it. Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. What's fun though, if you don't want to spend $75 on this, you can find generally I think it's a 4-bottle sampler, or it's either a 4-bottle sampler and they have the original, the La Santa, which is sherry, the Sauternes cask, which is Nectar d'Or, and the Quinta Ruban. You can find that in a 4-pack, I think, for about $30-some. Okay, look for that. That's a really cool pack. I remember we bought it for someone and they loved it, because you're getting to try all 4 of them. And for the amount that was in those, I think they were 150s. You know what? It was a good price, or maybe it was just 100s. But in any case, check that out if you're looking for that. Secondly, we're not really coming up on a holiday now, but also look around. Sometimes this one, okay, which every person that owns or likes Scotch, or really even anybody who has a nice, good, a bar of note, is going to have Glenmorangie 10 as their single malt Scotch whiskey. It's just like, it's a no-brainer. Okay. Sometimes if you look around, you'll find gift boxes that will have a sampler for either La Santa or Quinta Ruban in there. So look at, if you're not going to go all hog and all hog. If you're not going to go whole hog or full boat, okay, or full hog and I don't know. Anyway, you get it. Spend $75 on that. That's another way to check this out. Finally, let's talk about a couple other specifically port bottlings that I know of. It's kind of hard to find. A lot of different products finished in port. There were some other single malt Scotch whiskeys. I don't even remember now if I have another one of this fancy Tobermory. What I will tell you is Angel Envy's. Now we all know Angel's Envy, which has changed ownership, but their flagship is the rum cask finished rye. That's probably the tallest bottle over there. I think I'm pointing at it. Okay, that's one of Michelle's favorites. A little too sweet for me, but that's it. But their bourbon, one of their bourbons, is actually port cask finished. So if you want to see what is this guy talking about, and you're more of a bourbon fan, maybe check out the Angel Envy's port cask finished bourbon. And I know that is not as expensive as the rye. The rye now, I think, is probably $100, if not more. I don't think their bourbon is that high. That might even be their core range now, like their regular Angel's Envy bourbon is in port. What else? If you find it on sale, one of the finest whiskeys I've ever had, which now I've buried somewhere. It's back there. You know what? It's worth getting because it's really good. But I've seen this small American company around a little bit more. This is barrel whiskey, okay? This barrel Seagrass, which Damien Espinoza hit me to a long time ago, is a rye whiskey finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, that's a wine, and apricot brandy barrels. Wait, that's not port. I thought it was port. Wait. Skip that. Well, this is good anyway. Anyway, I think it's time for me to have something to eat. Finish up this Quinta Ruban. Sorry about the mispronunciation on that. There are plenty of the people at the Glenmorangie factory that pronounce it Quinta Ruban. Okay, it kind of became like, you know, they didn't have like the Quinta Ruban, you know, or something like that. All right, that wasn't bad, but that was a little forced. My name's Darren Scorza. I'm from Norridge, Illinois. Don't expect to have perfect pronunciations. And I took French for 2 years, and I stumbled over Martinique just a couple of seconds ago. All right, folks, that's it. Check out these things. Like I said, if you want to try finishing stuff, if I think of some other good examples of lower priced finished whiskey all across the board, Irish whiskey comes into my head just now. One of the really tasty Irish whiskeys. I'll give you two if you're in. We're coming up in that time. You know what? Let's see if I can pull them up. Yeah, actually, I can. This one we don't have anymore, but if you want to try, so you get involved in the rum thing, Tullamore Dew's got some like XO Reserve or something like that. It's a rum cask finish. Really good. Finally, you know, green spots get all the glory in Irish whiskey, the yellow spot and all the various spots. But Teeling is a close second. And if you grab this core range Teeling, this is kind of their bottom, but it's bottled at 46%, non-chilled filtered rum cask finish, small batch. This is delicious and well worth its price at 46% and non-chill filtered. So there you go. If you want to get into rum, that's that. Of course, there is Balveni's Caribbean Cask, which is one of our favorites, also at 14, also about in the same price, although that is probably more expensive than this one. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to stop babbling. Yes, and start cleaning. Got to do a little cleaning up right here, and looking forward to what we're going to do next. Not quite sure yet. I took kind of a pause on the blended Scotch whiskey stuff, but maybe we'll get away from the Scotch stuff. And who knows? Maybe I'm going to have to start experimenting and start searching out. As we have mentioned, you know, the TTB here has kind of put a good structure for single malt, American single malt whiskey. And I don't have too many of them, but that might be something I need to rectify. All right, rectify. It's funny. Rectifier. A rectifier. Look it up, as that word is something significant in American whiskey history. Or whiskey history. All right, time to go to bed.